Welcome YouTube, this is Acid Root. So I'm going to review Sean Kingston's debut album from 2007, Sean Kingston. So basically this guy was found by J.R. Rodham. He was kind of a MySpace rapper and kind of emerged in like the summer of 2007 and had a lot of successful singles around that time. Crested from the summer, he was pretty ubiquitous in the summer of 2007, but he lasted into like the spring of 2008, so he made it a good 9-10 months, something like that. And he really had like this feel of like bringing kind of reggaeton, dancehall, and kind of Jamaica flavored hip hop back into the spotlight and that type of stuff. Because really, probably the last person who had a successful reggae album before Sean Kingston, I would have to say, was probably either Beanie Man or Shaggy or something like that. But Shaggy had kind of tapered off after the early 2000s, and Beanie Man really only had like a hit single or two, so it was just left to really just like Vibes Cartel and Sean Kingston. And I would say that Sean Kingston pretty much, this album only went gold, which is kind of a disappointment just because it had a number one single and three other singles that did pretty damn well as well. So this is kind of interesting kind of say that this was not quite as crest worthy as it needed to be, but it definitely revitalized reggaeton around that time. I just would have to say that it had a lot of nice bops on here that are perfect for like a summer pool party. I can see this album being played throughout the summertime and just kind of lasting throughout like the whole season. It's just kind of a lazy and it's kind of a hazy album too. I would definitely say this has a lot of haze and gauze to it. Just kind of, there is some malaise of being lovesick and that type stuff, just the ins and outs of that and that type stuff. And I just would have to say, like, it just kind of reminds me of like a just a typical kind of heartbreak summer, that sort of stuff that goes along with it. But it just feels like a nice kind of mid pool party type feeling. Definitely more electric and has more energy than some reggae albums, despite the fact that reggae is kind of based on energy. But it's just a younger version of that because Sean Kingston was a teenager as he made this, is because he was 16, 17 as he made the album. It was just interesting to kind of get this format of the album, be able to have it because yeah, I feel like Sean Kingston has a little bit more energy than Shaggy around this time. Maybe not energy in terms of rambunctiousness, but just, it's just kind of, it's just lighthearted in some cases. Sean Kingston does have some more thuggish joints on here and kind of takes it to the slums and that type of stuff, but it kind of has a mixture of some of that, but we'll kind of get into it. So, but I do feel like this is kind of a nice, like I said, mid pool party that just kind of has like some nice bops about it and summer feels and hazy summer feels. So kind of talk about some of the singles. The first single was Beautiful Girls. And to me, this really feels like a promo type song. Somewhere you'd hear this song near water. Definitely kind of, it's a mild club song. I can hear it being played, but it just doesn't have the ferocious energy. It's a number one single, but it just doesn't have the ferocious energy of like a typical club type bop. It's more concentrated on like the lovesick type feels of what's going on around this moment. It's kind of interesting the way Sean Kingston talks about wanting to be suicidal because of some of these women that slip between the cracks and that type stuff. I just would have to say it's an interesting one. Great hook, great outstanding feel towards it. Just a very hazy kind of song. It's kind of slipping through the summer and that type stuff. It just really feels like a nice venture. It really does feel like a promo type song though. It just is kind of somewhere where you see like a bunch of just stepping out kind of moments and appreciating like the flashing lights, but just kind of maybe somewhere like Florida, California, Texas in some cases, just somewhere where there's coasts and beaches and that type of stuff, just somewhere in like a more gauzy kind of resort type feel of it. Great. You should definitely check this song out if you haven't heard it because it hit number one. It's a pretty remarkable song. So the second single is Me Love, and this is the second worst charting single of the four singles. Saying second worst is really not that bad just because it hit number 14 on the Billboard 100, so it did outstanding. When Sean Kingston dropped Beautiful Girls, I'm sure there were people who thought that he wasn't going to get another single out and be able to do it, but he pulled it off pretty much immediately because this was a single from the summer of 2007 also, and it was a pretty nice one. Would have to say that it just feels like a pool party kind of. This is definitely more of a pool party type song. This completely has like that just being near water type feel and just kind of chillaxing maybe on the beach or just on the sideline of a pool in like one of those lawn chair or something like that. Just something interesting. This is definitely more of a summer bop than Beautiful Girls. This one not quite as like lovesick and quite as damaged, but this has like a nice bop towards it, and it's just kind of easy, kind of mellow summer song, or mid-tempo summer song that just kicks a lot of ass. I just would have to say it's a nice one. Definite hook that this is pretty not quite as good as Beautiful Girls, but definitely competes with it. I mean, Sean Kingston, you'll find on this album that Sean Kingston has a lot of nice hooks that he kind of does, and a lot of them are pretty ready to go and pretty much can be played on the radio, and they're just inescapable. So it's a nice feel towards it. The third single is Take You There, and this is actually a song that cracked the top 10 of the Billboard 100, got to number 7. This is a single that cracked the top 10 of the Billboard 100, got to number 7, and came out in the fall of 2007, which was showing that Sean Kingston was lasting a while now. Showing that Sean Kingston was lasting a while now. So this really feels like a Go-Go's type song and like an island type feel, I would have to say. This feels like a step out kind of joint where you're kind of not so much near water this time, but still kind of in the summer, just kind of more. Maybe you have a date, maybe you're stepping out, maybe you're going to some promo event, just some things that you got to do to kind of have the hustle and bustle, but still kind of in a flirty sense and just kind of more romanticized and that type stuff. I definitely like some of these just because Sean Kingston, this is 3 songs now that he had for the ladies, just being able to kind of have like these kind of grooves and summer jams as far as that's kind of concerned. But like I said, Take You There is not much of a pool party song as Me Love is, but I do kind of feel like it's a nice kind of island type feel and resort type feel that just has a lot of strong and encouraging vibes about it. So that's a nice one. The hook is really excellent too. This, Sean Kingston's 3 for 3 with 3 top 15 singles that have like hooks that just are recitable and just great overall. So it's definitely a good job for Sean Kingston. And then the 4th single. Now this is a song. This is one that I don't remember as much. The 4th single, There's Nothing, is a single I don't remember as much. It didn't really chart that well, but it is interesting. This is an interesting song because there's 2 versions of it. There's one with Paula DeAnda, who was kind of a pop singer from the mid-late 2000s that didn't last too long. And then there's a version with another chick named Elon, and then Joel Santana from Dipset. And that's kind of the concept about it. So the Spotify version and the version that got released to radio has the Elon and Joel Santana version, and it's pretty good. And I just feel like initially when I used to listen to Sean Kingston's 2007 album, I didn't like this song as much. I didn't know about the Joel Santana and Elon version, but I did know about the Paula DeAnda version. I just thought it was a little bit too saccharine and sugar sweet, but now I actually like it. And I realize that it's not quite as saccharine as it really is. It's just another kind of hazy, romanticized. This one is really kind of hazy. It has more of a late summer type feel. Still in the summer, but I would play this probably late August, early September, something like that, where summer is kind of starting to die down. It kind of has like a mild go-go type feel, mild promo type feel. Just kind of not quite as much energy as Take You There, but just kind of a gauzy, kind of hazed out kind of energy compared to Take You There, where the energy of the album and the singles is starting to kind of dwindle, and it's kind of like, okay, it's kind of starting to maybe not like, it's not like Sean Kingston's running out of tricks, but just kind of the concept where the seasons are changing and that type of stuff, where you've been listening to this album the whole summer and that sort of feel. But I just really kind of got the concept that it just kind of strikes me as like this real hazy kind of romantic kind of song. Joel Santana does a nice fit on here. Elon, who replaces Paula DeAnda, does a nice fit on here, and Sean Kingston has a nice kind of sing-songy verse, kind of hip hop, R&B type rap type verse where he kind of sings, kind of raps. So it's just interesting to kind of get that, and I feel like it's a successful single. It's too bad that this song didn't chart higher, because I do feel like it completes like the task of having all these singles, where Sean Kingston basically just delivered an album full of songs for the summer. He delivered an album full of singles for the summer. All 4 of these you could play: Beautiful Girls in May, Me Love in June, Take You There in July, and There's Nothing in late August and September. This album lasts for like the whole summer, and you'll see that as we get more into these reviews. But this really has like a hazy, gauzy kind of feel. I think you'll like it. So the rest of the album, though, I'm going to go ahead and list. There's 13 songs on this album. there's actually 14 songs, but one is the intro, so there's 13 actual songs on this album. I'm going to go ahead and list the 8 songs out of 13 I recommend to you. So those 8 songs would be Me Love, Take You There, Got No Shoddy, Beautiful Girls, Your Sister, There's Nothing, Can You Feel It, and the bonus track Colors. So to talk about some of these that I haven't talked about, I feel like Got No Shoddy is like a dance club type song. This is definitely kind of a more energized Sean Kingston type song. I mean, he was energized in the singles, but this one's just kind of a nice album cut that works pretty well. This is a nice flirty dance club bop about having a festive party joint, talking about how he's looking for a girl and someone to mingle with and that type stuff. This works pretty damn well. Uh, I like the hook on here. It's not quite as chart heavy as like Beautiful Girls or Me Love, but it does do its service. I really feel like that's something Sean Kingston has down pretty pat. It's Got No Shardy. I think depending upon the day, you may find yourself singing along to some of these just because they're just kind of infectious. So she Got No Shardy has that. Your Sister is kind of like a saucy, kind of hazy summer bop. I think you'll like the kind of humming that's kind of in the song and stuff, and it just really feels like, Sean Kingston talking about how he's talking to this chick but he likes her sister more, and this really feels like a one of those songs that you just Your Sister is just kind of one of those gauzy kind of saucy summer songs that you just flirt all summer and just are kind of having fun just in the kind of standard kind of heartbreak kind of malaise and that type stuff. So it's interesting to kind of get that. And let's see, Can You Feel It is kind of a more night-based song, kind of hot weather. Definitely, I feel like this could be in the hot weather and just has another hazy feel towards it. Samples In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins kind of does a nice job with it. I mean, that song gets sampled a lot. A lot of people mess with that song, but this is pretty decent version of that. Just kind of makes it for like a night type feel where you're getting ready to step out, go to your booze house, that sort of stuff. Just would have to say that's a pretty nice one. And then Colors, apparently the original version, if you're wondering where Colors came from, it came from the Games mixtape from 2007. So one of his 2007 mixtapes, and the remix is on Sean Kingston's album, and it has Cardinal Official from Akon fame and Vibes Cartel on there. And the beat is pretty sprinkling, has a nice kind of piano kind of clittering keys and that type stuff. Definitely like the way that one was. Probably the best beat on the album, but it's not really a sing-songy kind of R&B Jamaican reggae type song. It's more of a rap type song. Sean Kingston kind of raps on here, and that's kind of the concept that Sean Kingston can rap. And there are like the 5 songs I didn't enjoy. I'll kind of talk about this. I mean, yeah, I like Colors, definite sparkling kind of song. Just had a lot of nice feels. That's a rap song of Sean Kingston that I enjoyed. Just really tore that song apart. All 3 of those guys did. But some of these songs I didn't enjoy, like Kingston, Drummer Boy. At least Kingston and Drummer Boy kind of have this more thuggish Sean Kingston type feel. If you like Sean Kingston on Beautiful Girls, Me Love, those type songs, the singles, he has a different vibe about him where he switches to like the slum Sean Kingston, which is a little bit more thuggish and rugged. And it's not like it's bad, but it just does. I feel like Sean Kingston needs work in trying to express that and convey it to the people as far as making it more compelling. And it just didn't quite come off that way, at least on this album. It didn't. I like the concept of a rap version of Sean Kingston, but I feel like the sing-songy type stuff that he does on Beautiful Girls and Me Love just has that much better an approach. And that's the more marketable Sean Kingston. But if he could pull it off, like there's some folks like Drake is able to pull it off. 50 Cent is able to pull it off. People like that are able to pull it off. I just was not seeing it in terms of any type of song that would have charted with this thuggish Sean Kingston and like the rap version of Sean Kingston. So it needs work, at least on this album it does. And then like a couple other songs like Dry Your Eyes and Change, and there's one other one that ain't right. I didn't like Change and Dry Your Eyes. I mean, these are kind of more personal and a lot more personable type songs, I would have to say. I mean, they kind of have a different valve of stuff. They're not quite as festive and that type of stuff. So if you're looking for that sort of more personable and kind of more kind of, just wholesome and kind of a more productive kind of way, there's songs for that sort of thing. More kind of happily, healthily, blue collar type stuff. There's those type songs, Dry Your Eyes and Change. and I just didn't really appreciate That Ain't Right. It was kind of dramatic. I like the dramatic feel of it, but I couldn't get into that one. So me liking 8 out of 13 songs, I'm gonna go ahead and give this album an 8.25 out of 10. I feel like that's really damn good. I feel like if I would have disliked a couple more songs, it probably would have been like a 10. But an 8.25 is really good. I mean, this is pretty outstanding. Nice jolt of energy with the summer. I definitely feel like Sean Kingston has that down pat. Just the fact that he was able to get to 4 singles and 3 of them cracked the top 15. So I definitely kind of feel like that's pretty awesome just to be able to have that. And it just is an overall great package of just stepping out. Like I said, I feel like this album can last throughout the whole season of summer. If you're just looking for something to play between like spring, between like April and October, I would say this is an album great for that. It just has plenty of energy for that sort of concept. Sprawling type energy, the flirty numbers, the kind of hazy, kind of gauzy, kind of romantic numbers, and just kind of the overall promo and go-go type cuts. There's not really like club cuts I've noticed, but it just kind of has more of like these promo kind of stepping out towards resorts and just kind of flashy, more glamorous type lifestyles in like an island and summer sense. It's pretty good to get that. So 8.25 out of 10. The social score I'm going to give like a 9 out of 10 just because a lot of this is pretty festive and fun. It's real tropical and stepping out, just kind of in the sense of like the summertime, June, July, August. It just has a lot of feels for just having and enjoying like the season and the weather and the surroundings and that type stuff. And it's just overall, there's, I mean, most of this is pretty romantic only, but I feel like some of these can be played around your friends too, just depending upon how that goes. But for the most part, Sean Kingston's a pretty affable dude, so I think it works in the context that even if you're just kind of around guys and it's more of a sausage fest, it's not like that's too terrible a situation because I mean, even if it is kind of a sausage fest, you should have women on your minds. That's kind of the concept, but that's the situation. But it's a 9 social. In terms of the future, I would say Sean Kingston. In terms of the future, I would say Sean Kingston just dropped an album back in late 2022, which I didn't even know about. So that's pretty interesting. He took 10 years off. The last album he dropped before the 2022 one came out in 2013. So it's been quite a while since Sean Kingston's kind of been around. So it's interesting to kind of get more from this. But this is definitely a nice kind of crisp, kind of hot weather type feel album that just has a lot of energy and a lot of longevity also.